covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Bernier.
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
I think Cody Rhodes would pause the video and ask why I showed up in a freeze frame, because it's NAL, of course, live edition here. Welcome to Inside the Walls. Welcome in, fans of 50-Yard Fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast. I am Zach Kyleman, your usual intro host, as always, bringing you in for episode 115 of Inside the Walls, NAL Rebound Edition, Week 12. Got plenty to talk about for these two games coming up. Got an interview coming up with, of course, one of the top players that we got to miss out a little bit on last week due to technical difficulties, but we'll get a recap portion of a two-part interview on this coming up in the show in just a little bit. But before we get to that, let's bring in my co-host here, who is trying to hold back giggles from the flash frame. Here he is. In the flesh.
That was
Jim
me.
Bernier.
I had the technical difficulty. I suck doing it live, by the way. I don't know why. I love the technology of editing.
Well, you rubbed out you scrub out the imperfections, but see this, you still get the real deal. We look, it's a flash frame. I was ready to do the double thumbs up. That's what I was sitting on. So no worries there.
Overall, we do have our first guest on already, Marvin. Continuation from last week. If you joined last week's episode, you understand why he's back on. So this time we're going to just recap his yesterday's game. I only said Saturday. Recaps yesterday's game, and then we'll talk about the two other games, and we'll have Hit Stick Kearney on the second hour of the show from San Antonio. So that's going to be pretty interesting to get another aspect of the Gunslinger. So let's get episode 115 on the road, and let's bring in our Marvin Skip Ross.
Hey, how y'all guys doing?
This time we can actually see him. The last episode.
Yeah. Good to see you. Looks like you're in a very comfortable spot. Beautiful southern night. It looks like on the porch. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Well, we're doing great. We're glad to have you back on. So obviously last week got cut short a little bit. Kind of gave us a few keys, of course, into Coach Gibson's style and system heading into that game against the Cobras. You know what? Things turn out your way. Got basically key possessions to kind of go in your favor. Just kept one step ahead of the Cobras here. But defense did show up at key times, especially like Jabari Gorman, of course, later on. How do you evaluate just kind of the end of this one? I mean, Carolina, still pretty solid squad. Just some things work out to where you get the flow of the game working in your favor.
I feel it was a great game. I feel like Coach Fuller had his guys ready to play, had a great game plan, and I just feel like we just went out there and just executed. Coming off that unexpected bye week, we might have came off. I wouldn't say it's rusty, but it was an unexpected week for us, and I feel like we still came out and did everything our coach wanted us to do. A couple bounces went our way, a couple bounces went their way. It was a classic arena game in my opinion, with the onside kick and all, and just the back and forth, and you don't know what's going to happen at the end of the game. But we pulled it out, and we're getting ready for Orlando in 2 weeks. But it was a great game in my opinion.
Yeah, if anything, it's got to be nice, even though it was a Monday night game, at least you don't have to go like a short week right into this thing. So get a little bit of rest, because I imagine that would be, we've talked with folks that have had short weeks this year already about, like, say, a Friday game. And sure, there can be some standard operating procedure, but, it does stink to have that 1 day of rest taken away, or maybe that one extra practice taken away all the same. At least you get a bye.
Exactly. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Ross, I've asked these questions to Sam, to Arvell, to Kalushad, and a lot of players in the league. How hard is it as a player to get ready for a game, play a game, then bye week, then play a game, then bye week? How does that go through your mental psyche? Is that more mental, or is just more preparation for, you have a bye week coming up? How does that help or not help?
Well, as far as helping, it helps with, nicks and bruises that you may get. You can heal up, over that week, get a little extra treatment. You can watch more film on the opponent that may have a game or 2 games, while they're worrying about somebody else. You can, be a week ahead of them. But as far as like, it's nothing like, playing in a game. They say you can't simulate game speed. You can't simulate game conditioning. So that'll be the part that I heard, like, the game speed. Someone playing every week and then you coming off a bye week. They were just going last week, so they're used to that routine.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're a veteran in the sport, so you kind of know what it is when what's needed.
Yeah,
No,
sure.
I mean, that's of course putting it lightly, saying just veteran. Obviously you've gotten the accolades, you've gotten the talent and showing that skill set as well. Coming off here, you get this win against the Cobras. So, and actually I want to point out Zach Brown's in the chat on Facebook. Good
My
sportsmanship
guy,
right here.
Brown.
Great game last night. He said, which it was. This was a really good
my
one.
brother right there. That's my brother right there.
Oh, hey, two close former teammates as well. So, I mean, totally understandable. And I love the sportsmanship, Zach. Again, I mean, I think that was for all intents and purposes like so last night. Honestly, when the Cobras and Sharks come together, you generally expect a pretty fun contest.
Definitely.
And of course, 53 seconds at the end there, you got to have a nail biter. Comes down to, of course, Sam having to execute and get the stuff done when needed.
Yeah, on 4th down, Sam did a great job, extending the play, and we needed that play. We wasn't able to convert one of our 1-yard plays, so that gave them an extra timeout. But we ended up converting on 4th down, money down, and Sam Castronova was being Sam Castronova, the Italian stallion, And you're right, Carolina and Jacksonville always have great games, going back to 2019 championship, same type of deal. The ball just going a certain way with less than a minute, so it was great.
This is not a question for you. It's more of an observation. 850, Tallahassee, Florida State, FAMU. How was it, in your opinion, watching Tamorian Terry and Nooney Murray going after each other?
Man, it was definitely weird watching it. It was fun to me, and I know that both of them are extreme competitors, and Scary Terry being on my team, we hang out a lot, and we talk a lot about Tallahassee, even though we wasn't there together. But he's a great dude on and off the field, great athlete, and Murray is a great athlete as well, man. And, just 2 competitors going at it, and it was great to see.
Yeah, some of my favorite players in arena came from the 850. Ross, Fortson, Tamorian, Noonan. Man, Tallahassee just produces arena football talent. I'm just saying.
There's some talent in Tallahassee for sure.
Another question about yesterday's game, and this is one thing. Well, it's when you met me and my family at the suites at the end of the game. That was pretty unique.
For sure.
But that had a great experience. There was a point in that game yesterday where it was back and forth action, and the only mistake was Henry's interception to Wade. Yeah. How hard is it for a defense to know that you're up against an offense that can score on any play, which they did? That big conversion at the end of the game, I think it was 3rd and 15, and Henry threw a 50-yard bomb because he was in the goal line. How hard is it for a defensive player like you to keep that mindset? They're like, we're going to give up points because it's arena, and how to focus to make that clutch, that one last stop. How hard is it as a player to know one stop can be the major difference in this game?
Well, we trust our offense to go out there and score every time. Coach Gibson instills that in our offense. Some nights it's going to be the offense that takes control. Some nights it's going to be the defense. Mm-hmm. But with that one play, we just we wanted to make them run a lot of plays. Not one play touchdowns, nothing cheap, nothing deep type of thing, and but still play aggressive. And we was able to do that. So they was probably taking 6, 7, 8 plays to score, which would allow them to, make a mistake at some point. So that's just kind of how our defense goes, and we're still going to play aggressive, still going to play fast, physical, and disciplined. So that's just how we play.
I actually I think that's a good thing to follow up on for a question, because you're talking about, not letting the one-score plays happen. I'm assuming ever since that previous contest you've had with the Predators, that has been a little bit more hammered in. Because, I mean, that if there's anything that game defined several weeks back, and Joseph Hess, that's what raised our eyebrows, was your guys' defense got burned consistently on 1-2 play deep bomb passes, 1-2 play drives, and it just kind of felt like you're always on the back of your heels the whole night rather than saying, all right, we're going to wait and then just kind of do bang, bang, instant tackle, bring you down, make you work for your shot all the way down the turf. How is that? How's it been like that since you've adjusted since Orlando? Because it feels like that hasn't really happened since that contest.
Well, Orlando was so far the turning point of our season. Like you say, they was getting a lot of deep passes down the field. They didn't score too many touchdowns in the red zone from what I can remember. So like I said, we just had to hone in to what our defensive coordinator, Coach Clay Harrell, and our defensive backs coach Bill Alford. We had to hone in on what they was teaching us. We all had to get on the same page, and we've been clicking for the past 5 weeks, and we're going to continue this train going.
So what are your plans this bye week?
Oh, my plans this bye week, man, I'm gonna go pick up my daughter from Miami, Florida, and I'm gonna have her up here. So she'll be up here for the 4th of July, and probably have her up here for the month before she has to go back to school. So that's my plans this weekend. This week, of course, catch up on film of our next opponent, and just rehab and just stay healthy and be ready for the game. That's why we're here. We're here to win the championship. So we're trying to get there, and we're gonna get there by any means necessary. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing, keep listening to our coaches, keep giving it our all. I see my guy Jonathan Bain. I love you, bro.
Mm-hmm. Good. We're always glad to see him on a stream here too. Former teammates here. Got 2 of them on already. Glad to hear that from them. So
the list goes on.
I mean, seriously, without a doubt.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's good to have that extra time for yourself here. I guess for you as a player, and look, I know this isn't, you don't have control of this. The business is a business. It's been a wild several weeks here. How are you when you look at the brand new schedule? Now you're playing more, similar opponents and kind of like a tight knit kind of setup, kind of like 2021 when it was only 6.
Yeah.
At this point, like end of the year, you get a little bit more familiar with every week, or you have to maybe micro tweak. How do you feel with the rest, like just the remainder of the season schedule, and then knowing that any one of these guys could be my playoff opponent, even more likely than not now, given the shrinkage of teams, unfortunately?
Well, it's like you said, it's a situation we can't handle, so we only can control what we can control. We only can play who's in front of us. We all have film. We all can look at the film and be able to, gauge for our opponent. So we all in the same boat. It's not like it's one thing happening to Jacksonville or one thing happening to another team. All of us are in the same boat with the teams folding out of the league. So, right now it's just who's the strongest. The strongest, only the strongest survive. And, we're trying to make that mark. That's our goal from day one. And we're just going to keep taking it one game at a time. There's a lot of great teams out there in the league. There's a lot of great players, no matter what the record is,
Mm-hmm.
So we got to be able to be ready each week and be 1-0 each week. And right now we're focused on Orlando, another great team that's building a little momentum, and that's just where it is right now.
And of course, this week with the win over the Cobras, Jackson officially clinches a playoff spot. So we're guaranteed at least one more game at the end of the year. So that's a little weight off your shoulders there. Now it's getting the one seed or a 2 seed or trying to get a playoff game. That's, I think, the next goal.
Yeah.
How is it to prepare for that? You got 4 more games, and it's against some familiar foes. Is it just want-to-know mentality, focus on what you can do, and get better each game, or is it we can settle down knowing that we're in the playoffs? I know that's not going to happen, but I don't know how it's teams do so.
Our goal is the championship, and the only way we can do that is just to keep rising up. We can't stay steady. There's no such thing as staying steady. They're going up or down. So each week we're trying to get better. I feel each week we have been getting better. And, we're just going to continue focusing on one opponent at a time. I don't know who we play after Orlando, but, right now we're worried about Orlando. I really didn't even really look at the schedule too much. We have a team meeting tomorrow. So I know we have this bye week, but, Orlando is all we're focused on right now. And, just taking one good game at a time and, roll with the punches.
As they say in the biz, the grind don't stop, especially for the good, especially the good teams. And as we all know, we always talk about this. Guys like Fuller, like a Gibson and company, they always keep it on to the next and focused in. Which actually, my final question for you, Marvin, and especially for your whole staff, it's been pretty consistently high quality football you guys have produced all year. I mean, I know coaches have to have a hard time breaking down some things, but there still is things you probably look at on tape every practice or meeting session you get the chance. And, I'm talking like back from my high school days, you're going to have someone like, even if you play a great game, you're still going to have someone sits down and goes, oh, hey, see this? You're out of position. Or see this? Maybe you need to start getting off the ball heavier. I mean, that's got to be how you're – I mean, it gets a little harder when you're playing at a high level like that, right?
For sure. We have a great team, and all the coaches make sure that we're never satisfied, never get too high, never get too low, but never be satisfied. And we're just going to keep going out there and grinding, like you say, in practice, getting better in practice every day, practicing hard, practicing at a high speed, and trying to rep being in game situations. And we just keep doing what our coaches say do. I believe in my coaches. I trust them, and I feel like the team trusts them as well. And we all on one accord. So we're just going to keep doing what we can do and just roll with the punches as they go.
Well, one final question, Marvin, but then let you go. You've played with Gibson from Columbus to now.
Yeah.
And Mason asked this question to you before all the chaos happened with technology.
Yeah.
Has his coaching style changed from the two teams, or is it still similar?
No, I feel his coaching style is still similar. Pretty much, he expects us to be great. He's very informative. He shows a lot of film. He teaches while he's showing film, and I feel he's a great coach. I always say he was a great coach, even when I was recruiting guys to come play. After I signed in Jacksonville, one of the things was, hey, Coach Gibson is a great coach. So I trust him. I'm gonna follow behind him. He's the captain of our team, captain of the ship. We're gonna go down with him, and I know he's gonna go down with the ship. So we all in this together. So he's been the same way since the first day I met him in 2014, and we're gonna give our all for him.
Well, Marvin, it has been a pleasure to get to chat with you. A full conversation, no technical difficulties. The gremlins in the internet sometimes just interrupt good talk. So glad we got to at least finish this up with you. Enjoy the bye week rest or enjoy getting ready an extra week, whatever way you want to look at it. And looking forward to keep seeing you playing at a high level out there with the rest of the guys over there in Jacksonville.
I appreciate y'all having me on, Zach and Jim.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir. Marvin Ross, everybody, defensive back for the Jacksonville Sharks. Glad we got to at least finish up that combo, and we'll dive in right into the swing of things here with recapping games, because I already saw some of you on the side in the chat comment about one specific part of that Jacksonville Carolina game. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about it. We just are let's talk in it. We're doing an interview first. We don't want that's a weird to us. It's a let's just say it's more of a conversational piece between us, because, I mean, Marvin is away from the play at the time. We'll discuss the footage of the incident, at least with knocking the ball away, that Jason Gibson is being put on the spot for in several group chats, because I see some of you typing it. We'll talk, but we'll get to that in just a moment. We do want to talk about other pieces of the weekend, though, and we wanted to get through that. So don't worry. I'm just commenting a few of you. They're like, hey, you're not going to talk about it? No. We just started the show. Let's chill out here. All right.
We had to finish last week's show.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to it. Don't worry. We'll get to it. And we even, I mean, crud, we still have stuff we had to talk about, sadly, news-wise, that I wasn't wanting to expect to talk about either. So we'll have to dive into those as well. You know how the show goes. Usually we dive into news, then we go into full recaps. But we definitely wanted to get Marvin Ross's interview piece on because again we got interrupted last week and kind of feel like we deserve to get him on and have his spot finish up while we have him, and we're glad that he got on. Anyway, time to dive into a few pieces of news, mainly schedule pieces in particular. And also another unfortunate, I would say, closure more for at least for the season, and at least it's how it's being implied. We'll discuss that now. Two things. So the NAL did drop earlier this week their updated schedule. So that came out just yesterday, as you can see on here. So you'll notice that it's all basically 2 games a week. And then you get one team that's on a bye to finish the season. We're down to 5 teams. This was a combo release of sorts for Oppressor because the second portion of this, again, you'll see the schedule here, doesn't have Fayetteville. Well, Fayetteville has, by the terms of the PR, have been removed from the league via a league vote. The way it's been described in multiple things is due to hardships in terms of financials. They couldn't find a reasonable option, has been quoted on the press release, to find a way forward. And so right now we are operating with 5 teams for the duration of the remainder of the season. But yes, again, you'll see the remainder of the schedule, as you'll find on nationalarenaleague.com, has 2 games a week, 1 bye week per week, basically rotating till the end of the season. And we'll still have a 4-team playoff. 1 team will be eliminated at the end of the season. Jim, I want to get your thoughts on, at least I guess we can start with the schedule here and then kind of dive a little harder into the Fayetteville discussion. Because, I mean, the schedule, like I said, if anything, it's very uniform, I guess, to end the year. It just is unfortunate the circumstance to get kind of that uniformity.
Well, when you have such change later in the year, like we've had so far this year, 2 schedule changes back to back, there are some tweaks and things that have to be adjusted, and we're getting 2 games per week. Well, I found out on the schedule, no one lost a home game, so home games are still true to the original schedule. Just certain opponents have changed on who they and where they're going. Like San Antonio's going to Orlando this weekend coming up. That was supposed to be San Antonio's off week, so there's a little twerks there. Jacksonville scheduled twerk. We're getting another game with Orlando, but we still get the West Texas home game and still travel at the end of the year to Orlando to end our or to Carolina. So that really doesn't change. And West Texas, I think a lot of West Texas fans here, if you're listening, are happy that they're not going to be playing San Antonio more, because it seems like they've been playing San Antonio for 4 months straight now. That's what it feels like for them. But you got to give credit to the NAL, the Commissioner Chris Siegfried in the office, really getting a schedule that benefits the home games, that teams don't have to change their home schedule. It benefits that way to keep it still in cohesion. That's the one good thing. And also, the sport that we cover here, it sucks that we talk about teams not completing the season. We joke about it in the off season, but honestly, for me and Zach, really, we hate seeing it. We really do, because these teams, especially Fayetteville, they brought us in. We had a little, back and forth banter this off season, and it was pretty cool to interact with their social media people. And it just sucks. It really does. And
Yeah.
it's never a good thing when it happens, because you got to remember there are 21 players, 25 players of 20. What do you want to say? Plus coaches, about 30 people overall on the actual coaching side, player side of things. And you have additional members, media people, or people associated. So a lot of these guys don't have jobs, and it sucks when that stuff happens. And it's you can laugh about it, but there is no laughing matter, because you got a lot of players on those teams that are going to try and find new homes, and they may not find a new home this year because of how late the season is for spring football. unless they can find a spot in the outdoor game up in Canada or in our National Football League, which is an awesome place to get to, especially in our game. But it's always that's always a sore subject. But the NAL did a great job of waiting, continuing, negotiating behind the scenes and getting things done. And the chatter and the noise from the media, social media, from all the NAL group pages and fans. What the NAL did is, yes, the NAL gets reamed for not going out and announcing ASAP. The NFL gets reamed for actually announcing too early. This time they wait. I've heard that there were multiple different drafts of the schedule, and it was just trying to approve which one was going to be which. So that's why we got down this, and we had people talk about 5-team playoff. Was it considered? Was it brought up? Rumors is it was brought up, but overall they stick with it because of scheduling for playoff home games the final 2 games of the year. So that's the reason why. Not big change. A lot of turmoil has happened in the NAL over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and because of what's going on and how the NAL has approached it, you rather wait to announce something and have all your facts in a line than go out there and say something and be like, oh, well, we just got blindsided. But overall, the schedule, they did the alterations last week for a single week, and they've completed it, and they got the alterations for the remainder of the season. Unfortunately, what happened in Fayetteville was something that we as fans don't want to see, and especially the owner up there and the organization. Dang well they didn't want to do it, and I know, honestly, the NAL was doing as much as they can to help them. So it just stinks. But this is the thing about our sport that I hate to do or talk about. But sometimes it does happen in our realm. So yeah, it stinks. But move forward with the 5 organizations that we have now, and the playoff race just gets a little interesting between the 4 and the 5. So we just see what happens. And we have 5 more weeks of football to watch. So July is going to be entertaining. It's going to be a fun couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll be definitely. I think it'll be, at least you can argue it's going to be a tighter playoff race. If anything, it just stinks that you lose a playoff team, given that Fayetteville was 4-4 at that time. If anything, I do hope that there is some silver lining here. There's a few things in the press release that, you can tell the NAL wants to be in Fayetteville. It's similar to Albany. They both love those markets, and the NAL press release states they're looking at options for Fayetteville next year. Even the Mustangs, who released their own, you can call it a press release, you can call it a social post, but basically it is their final send-off for the season, stating that they are at least looking for options to try to attempt something next year. I'm not saying that they're coming back to the NAL or anything. That is still completely too early and up in the air, and I will not dive into any of that, but the least you can say is that, you can even tell from Chris Siegfried's comments this whole season that he wants Fayetteville to work. He wants that market. They just need to find a way to settle things down and get it in there. And we can have a further discussion about this in the off season, like we always do. Expansion rumors and things always happen.
Nature of the beast.
I mean, yeah, and there's no less exception than this coming off season anyway. So trust me, we'll have more on that as we go. But right now, at least we got a schedule. We're back to 5, but that's okay. We still have some high quality teams out there that we're going to get some good football out of to at least end the year. Buckle up in your bootstraps. Time to go and watch some football. And now I'd say time to go and talk about some recaps while we're at it. We'll end with the game of the week. I know some of you are waiting on us to discuss that point I mentioned, but again, wait on it. We'll let you sit on that a little bit as we'll kind of jump back to Saturday with the West Texas Warbirds. As I stated in at least the game day section, they're hitting a U-turn. They came right back down to of course, Freeman Coliseum. Actually, a pretty good night in terms of I would say crowd, but also I love their Star Wars theming. And I know it was funny. We talked about Star Wars week, love the jerseys that the Sharks had on, by the way, but like, dude, the Gunslingers went all out on Star Wars night. We're talking like specially lit chairs and tables, fans getting lightsabers coming in, the special decals on the turf. That is so cool that they did the special decals. I'm not saying it's easy for every team to do this, but I almost kind of feel like this is like a step in the direction of saying, hey, if some of your teams are able to do it, that maybe that's San Antonio kind of pumping up their chest, going, hey, step up your presentation game for some of these specialty nights. We'll find out in the future, but like that was cool. You got like next wing a TIE fighter decal on the field, a specialty Rebel gunslinger on the turf. They went all out. I love the atmosphere for that game. And the thing is, they did this in a quick rotation. This was a quick turnaround type of setup for West Texas and to get this all sorted out. But it was good. It was really good. Love that. Love the contest setup. And honestly, good game overall. And one thing in particular, I think that we were wondering, is Fred Shaw and his company going to come out and say, you know what, we escaped and dodged a bullet the week prior. We got to come out and play all 4 quarters. And you know what they did? They played all 4 quarters. Yeah. And as we had folks talk about it last week, and a few players mentioned last week about, hey, it was a fluke game. You know what? Kudos to you. You guys came out, played all 4 quarters, finished things off against the West Texas Warbirds. Chris Ware, who steps in and has been another QB in the mix for the West Texas Warbirds this year due to injury or just changes. He played a solid game, but San Antonio was ready to play, and they made darn sure to say, hey, this is our turf. We're walking away with this win. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All 4 quarters were played on Saturday night.
All 4 quarters were played Saturday night, and from my perspective, the one thing that didn't happen this week. It didn't happen this week, but happened multiple times last week. Is turnovers. I confuse myself. I do that a lot. Was turnovers that San Antonio, committed, and then West Texas capitalized. This week, San Antonio did have that one singular turnover, but the defense shut down West Texas right after that turnover, so really never really affected the game. Mad props to a guy who had a complete 180 from 2 weeks ago, Arvell Nelson, 22 for 27, 231, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. When you have a 0 in that column, you're winning some football games. Great performance by Arvell. Another guy that showed out, as usual. It's not a shocker he showed out. Is the big man himself, Kadarian Chisholm. The dude was balling. Kylie Rashad was getting his mix. He finally got into the end zone. It seems like he's been away from the end zone for a while. And also on the other side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, that I have to give Matt props to when San Antonio missed him big time last week, and that was Jackson. Was it Jackson? No, not Jackson. I'm getting the guys confused. I'm getting things wrong. Timeout. Let's do. We're live. Can't really do it. Not Jackson. Cody Brooks. I'm thinking another game. I do apologize. Was Cody Brooks? He played last week. This week he was a bigger influence. You could tell by how him and Philip Barnett was acting at the end of the game last week. That really promoted or like pushed San Antonio over right when they had that crucial mistake somewhere in the 4th quarter. That you're like, uh-oh. Here we go again. What happened? Brooks, Alexander just stepped up. Chisholm stepped up. Kearney stepped up. And they did not let Ware, who was going up and down the field on them all night, when Ware needed to make that crucial pass, didn't happen. San Antonio's defense stood up, got the ball back. And what happened 2 plays later? San Antonio scores a touchdown, and this game's over. That was a way to go from the comment I said a couple of weeks ago to this is what we expect San Antonio to be, a complete 4th quarter team that's going to sometimes, tug on that emotional heartstring, but at the same time, complete games. And this win for San Antonio, I don't know why I say Jackson. I'm still pissed. I don't know why. I meant Alexander. I do apologize. I think I was watching another game. Anyways. With that win, they clinch a playoff spot. into the NAL playoffs. This only guarantees them a spot in the postseason. San Antonio had a press release, I think, today on their website. It told the actual criteria, what has to happen for them to clinch a home playoff game. Basically, if they win this weekend against Orlando, they get a home playoff game. Or if they lose, they need Carolina to lose as well for that. So they get the guaranteed a home playoff game, so which means guaranteed worst second seed as possible, or as fourth best as one. But what San Antonio did this weekend was exactly the team that we have seen throughout the year, that winning close games, winning big games, finding ways to win. They found a way to win. This time, when West Texas was getting the momentum to make that switch to get to that game-winning drive or that go-ahead drive, San Antonio said, not this week. They stood up. Alexander, Chisholm, Cody Brooks, everyone on that side, even, Kylie Rashad, everyone on that side stepped up, got the big turnover. And that's what we didn't see 2 weeks ago. We saw it this week in Star Wars night. Nice venue. And one thing I want to give credit to is San Antonio. Great atmosphere. Love the lightsabers. I love the blue, the purple. They were matching all the lightsaber colors. That's pretty cool. And of course, I'm a Star Wars geek. That was pretty awesome to do. And great presentation all the way around for a Star Wars night. And I guarantee the fans there had a great time too. It's always nice when you go to theme nights. They're pretty entertaining. But I got to give mad props to the production crew in San Antonio for putting on a great event for that. Even on what's seen on YouTube, it was a great presentation of the theme night. And I could tell that the fans were enjoying it, because every time you saw a fan, they weren't just sitting on their phones, looking on their phones. They were dancing. They were waving the lightsabers. Or Gabe, who is the color analyst for the San Antonio, calls them light sticks.
Light sticks. That one got me.
When he said that scene from Star Wars, you want to buy some light that sticks? I'm like, no. That's I don't know why. There's my geekdom. I need to go back. But
I think that's the first game I've had, by the way, besides the light stick thing was funny, but we had a horn warning during this one.
I don't understand that, because in Jacksonville it happens all the time. Well, not warning, but the horns.
Right. Although you did see this a close up of someone at one of those booth tables with what looked like a rigged screwdriver with a 4-piece blowhorn set up.
The one that looks like a train horn?
Yeah. Unless that was a train horn.
I thought they were talking about the World Cup horns.
Well, I think that was after. I think it was like a while after that warning came out. But I did see it on one of the shots. I went, man, if that's what the warning was about, that thing looked like industrial grade that he brought into the arena. It looked like some jerry-rigged thing that Doc Brown would make in his lab. but I didn't think I would hear that one. But hey, if you want to get a little bit on the other side, a little bit more chilled out.
I do have a question. This is for our fans. I do have a question for our fans, especially San Antonio fans, because I know you're here. Because I know you guys love coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We can tell by the stats and our algorithms. We know. We know people in San Antonio. Was there either this game or last game a warning to the PA guy? Or am I just over? Was that San Antonio or was that somewhere else? They told the the referee told the PA guy to turn it down. Was that in San Antonio? Am I wrong? Or was that the horn thing? I just thought he said the PA guy.
Well, one of them was the horn. That was separate. I know that there has been a PA warning.
I know Jacksonville got a PA warning last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there has been one this year. But no, I mean, the specific one in question was the horn. That was his. And actually, Bob, that's what, and here, Bob, much bringing up here, what I was thinking about and what you're thinking about is yes. And I remember actually Ralph talking to us after the fact about this, that was a backup DJ in San Antonio that got a bit of that warning, and not the same guy. Sometimes the new guy's got to go through through the ropes. But it does happen once in a while. It's not often, but you do got to respect the music getting shut off when the play is about to commence. That is, general stadium arena sport courtesies and rulings for any arena sport you go through. NBA, NHL. I can throw in lacrosse. I'll throw that into arena football.
Does anyone really follow it though?
I mean, they usually shut it off in the second
They
or
try.
so of the play. I mean, it's hard. You got to time it up, and you got to be a good DJ. You got to fade that bad boy out like in a millisecond. So,
Well,
it happens.
Adam confirmed it. It was in the San Antonio game. Okay, so I wasn't hearing things then. I thought for some odd reason I thought it was Jacksonville that had Jacksonville had it last year, which was the ref told DJ to quiet down because they can't announce the penalty on the play. So like, oh, all right, I didn't know we could start
that is
flags
its
on
own
the
that is its own problem if the sound mixing's not right
Yeah.
as we've seen. So I completely understand that.
But overall, let's get back to the game. But overall,
Yeah, exactly. I actually want
San
I want
Antonio-
to talk the other side of this.
Okay.
In
San
terms of the
Antonio-
Warbirds.
This is the game that I expect you guys to play. I know I get bashed about the 4-4 comment. I know this game you didn't play like a 4-4 team. You played like the best team in the league. You took care of business. You never really gave West Texas a chance to win the game. But West Texas did go toe-to-toe with you throughout the game. But when the time was to win the game, to end it, you did it. That's what good teams do. Good teams end a game when there's blood in the water. And you guys did that. And so a matter of respects to not really a rebound. You guys have won 3 in a row. So when Klitschko berthed in the playoffs, now you win one more. You got a home game. So everything's up and up in San Antonio. So mad props. But over on West Texas side, do they have the kicker of the year, by the way?
I mean, I think they do right now. Look, Mark Roscoe. We wish we're seeing him here, but I mean, even that being said, like that would have been made just that we had 2 excellent kickers right now. But no, Delia Weber has been fantastic.
He leads the league in deuces.
Yeah, I mean, leads league in deuces, been extremely accurate in field goals and XPs. I mean, vital asset, great talent, and again, it's almost like every week now we have to repeat that. Dude should hopefully get some looks elsewhere in the special teams part. I know that kickers, it is a ruthless position in any league to get in because you do have to get your shot and you have to be just like that smidge better than the guys you are competing with in camps. And then you also have to compete then if you get on in training camps, maybe an established kicker. It's harder. It is really hard. But if anything, damn, dude is incredible as an arena kicker. One of the most versatile weapons in the league for any team. West Texas cannot say enough to be happy that they got someone like that. And honestly, as Adam Dunlap brought up while we were kind of getting into this thing, Chris Ware, he had to get signed off pretty late into the cycle for this week. We actually missed it a little bit in terms of the transactions, and here he comes out short term. He's had some veteran experience actually across the pond in Europe, and dude plays out pretty well. Just it's been a pretty typical West Texas performance. They're competitive, just kind of one or two things kind of fall flat, or one or two plays don't go your way, and right now taking their lumps, but they're at least putting up competitive games week in and week out, and putting on a solid product no matter who's behind center right now, week in and week out. I mean, it's been a building process. They've been close, so you can definitely say that. There's some silver linings, but I mean, to talk about someone coming off the street and still showing out and keeping pace with a team like San Antonio, that's got to be a good feeling. And of course, they got some good weapons that at least they can, doesn't feel like they're down and out or feel like they're getting just kind of whooped on and outclassed. They're playing up to their opponents, or at least keeping close to their opponents. So, it's good to see. But Jesus, Weber, dude has to be. He's definitely leading the way for at least special team player of the year right now. I mean, he's in. If we're talking awards, which that's coming up soon for a more serious like deep dive, but at least if we're talking that position, I mean, it almost feels like he's got it locked right now.
In my opinion, I think he's averaging 2.5 deuces a game. That's impressive. And he hit 3 yesterday on Saturday. Then he hit 3 last week. So he's toying with that record, tying at 4. He's eventually going to do it. But with Ware, guy comes off the streets basically, or he played in Switzerland, I think is where he was playing football in Europe. came in, knew the game. The offense didn't really miss a beat for West Texas compared to Mitch Kidd. Jalen Childress again had a great game. Wilson had a great game. They had some issues. One thing I noticed about this game that didn't happen last game is their running game was pretty contained this time around. Like San Antonio really shut down their Trayvon Shorts in the running game. But overall, West Texas, like we've said multiple times in the scheme of things, you lose big, you lose small, you win big. They're still in that lose small phase. I think for them as the season progresses, they still have a good shot of getting the 4 now due to how the league has rearranged the schedules. So if they get on a little hot streak, and with Orlando playing San Antonio and Jacksonville and Carolina, Orlando's schedule is a little tougher than West Texas. West Texas could get back into it. Maybe West Texas can do what Orlando did or Carolina did a couple years ago, that backed into the playoffs at the very last second to get the 4. Possibly it can happen. So for West Texas, the season's clearly not over for you guys. For them, they got to go on the road to a Carolina team who is hungry, and we'll get to that game after we get Hitstick Kearney for the interview of the top of the hour. One thing I got to give respect to West Texas in this game is that this is the second time you go on the road into San Antonio. It's like deja vu all over again. And they find a way to stay in the game. They got the crucial turnover that they needed in the game and didn't capitalize on it. That's the credit to San Antonio. But there's also some other interesting things that happened outside the field of play in San Antonio. Top Gunner was going to be there, and all of a sudden Top Gunner was saying, nay, you're not going to go in the stadium. That was an intriguing little interaction you saw on social media. When I saw #FreeGunner on all the social media, I'm like, what's going on? What happened? And I saw what happened. Friendly banter, of course. That's establishing the rivalry right there. That's all that means right there, is establishing the rivalry. And for me, as a fan, looking from the scene, about like, oh, that's BS. Why did San Antonio do this? Why are you doing this? And I go in like, I did mention on the show previously that a rivalry starts not by pen and paper. Something has to happen to create such rivalry. Would it be something if it's #GunnerGate is what starts the West Texas Showdown rivalry?
Banning the mascot is what was the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's it. That's where it starts. Like that. Again, rivalries, I've always stated that they don't start by, oh, this team is 20 miles from this opponent, let's have it. No, something has to spark it. And it would be pretty funny if it's the the Top Gunner game. That would be it. Like, you look in the archives, I'm like, yeah, I remember when this rivalry started. It started because of Top Gunner getting banned. But overall, for West Texas, even though they're getting losses, they're losing close games. They're being very competitive in these games. And one of these days, they're going to get up from somebody, and someone's going to take them lightly, and they're going to bite someone in behind, and it's going to cost that team possibly a playoff seed, a 1, a 2, a 3, because they overlooked West Texas because they're currently in the last place in the league. But honestly, Zach, this game Saturday night, the presentation of Star Wars night was awesome. It was cool. The only thing that we were missing was just the scene from one Star Wars where I have the high ground. You know, you could have played that off some and like rolled with it. But overall, it was a good game. And San Antonio, that's the football that I like seeing. That's the team that I've watched. So I know you guys have, because the talent you have. Good way to get the win. Playoff win. San Antonio's in the playoffs. So we have spring football in San Antonio, and they have a team in the playoffs, not the other team in the same city.
I would say technically playoff football because the Brahmas did not make
exactly.
Make it there. But I mean, credit for I'll give it first year. You know, I'm just saying. You know,
and Orlando may be the second team. that makes it play out the other spring
I mean,
just
right
saying.
now,
Stating facts. Just stating facts.
right now that is definitely the possibility.
Yes.
For sure. I think one last item for me that we haven't really touched on. I think it was something. It's funny. Last show, if you go back to our previous Rebound show, in terms of talking about the finale of the previous West Texas Gunslingers game, the question of, does Robert Kent need to be behind center, we popped that into question for a second, and Arvell Nelson goes and proceeds to have probably his most, I would say his most clean night he's had all year. No interceptions, was sacked once, but didn't really make any crucial mistakes. 4 touchdowns throwing through the air, had a 5th one running, 231 yards, and only had 5 incompletions. I'd say that is you can argue that that's probably his best performance all season, if not up there with one of his top performances all year. The turnovers, especially, that's the big key. If he plays a clean game all the way through, it's almost it's basically unstoppable. That's the thing I think that keeps one of the items that keeps kind of creeping back with San Antonio is if you can play a fully clean game like that, if Arvell can keep his nose clean in the pocket and also squarely with less risk for passes downfield, sky's the limit for San Antonio to keep on being on, and we don't have to we don't question anything. So like this game is a great example of like, hey, top tier SA, yeah, I want to see them play Jacksonville no matter what. Again, because that's when they're playing at the top of their game, they can play anybody, and they can beat anybody, as we've seen all year.
Mm-hmm. Of that, and also the Arvell that we did see is the MVP Arvell that we've seen in the past, especially when Arvell played in Jacksonville last year. One thing about Arvell is like he may go through some slumps, but when he is on, he is one of the best quarterbacks to play the arena game, period. In all of his last locations he's played at before the Sharks, when he's on. And he was on the money. Great bounce back from 2 weeks ago. It's something that someone mentioned to me via direct message that made me go, I kind of agree. They go as far as Arvell goes. If Arvell is playing like he did this week, they're a championship team. If he plays like 2 weeks ago, they're not a championship team. I feel like if Arvell's playing on fire, they're a very hard team to beat. And if he's making mistakes like he did a couple weeks ago, they're very vulnerable, especially against teams like Carolina and Jacksonville. But when he's playing like he did last week, that's very hard to beat them, because when he's not making mistakes, you have to find a way to get the ball away from San Antonio, and that's asking the guy who doesn't fumble the football, Kyle Rashad, or Phillip Barnett to fumble the football. It's very rare when those guys do. So it's, in my opinion, they go as far as Arvell. And when he's on, what other quarterback will you want him to have the football in the last possession? Him? Sam? Possibly Henry? But Arvell is one of those guys where if you need a clutch touchdown, he's the guy to go to, because he's done it this year so far. He did one 2 weeks ago against West Texas to Kyle Rashad. That's a clutch touchdown. So for Arvell, it's like, I have mad respect for the dude. I know we, critique his game. But again, we appreciate when he came on the show a couple weeks ago, or early in the year.
Yeah, say beginning of the season.
I think it was preseason, wasn't it?
Yeah, say it was a kickoff to the year, or at least the regular season was with him.
And the season's so long, it's like a roller coaster. This season's just been up and down. But one thing you guys say, even with Arvell's up and down moments this season, he still, when he needs to be the clutch quarterback that San Antonio or Jacksonville or Washington or Cleveland that he played in the past, when he needed to be the clutch quarterback, he was there for his team. And he was there again this week for his team when his team needed it, because that crucial stop that they got after the turnover, Arvell went right down the field in 3 plays, scored a touchdown, ended the game. That's the Arvell that I've come to accustomed to watching for his career. That's the guy who has won championships before. He plays like that, he's going to win another one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one step at a time. Just like imagine Fred Shaw's doing the same thing. And as we were talking, not surprised that this game that he most likely emphasized 4 quarters here, and we'll obviously get to discuss that further here with the Bikembe Kearney or Hitstick Kearney as they also bring up here very shortly. If you have any questions that you want to discuss, again, it's been a busy week plus in the league, busy half week, I guess, if you want to put it that way in the NAL. Feel free to drop them, of course, on YouTube, Facebook, wherever we're broadcasting on the way. As we go through, we will be touching on, not probably, that sounds rude. We will be touching on that Sharks Cobras contest. We'll give a few minutes. Do we have to? You got to win. You sound so down in the dumps for that. You got Monday Night Football in prime time. You took the dub over a rival related organization.
And
you got a football in hand.
I got a new little.
Is that from the game, by the way?
Yeah, that was a missed extra point that bounced in our suite yesterday. So,
look at you!
Yes.
Nice.
I want to go try and get the ball signed by Castronova, and he just joked. He goes, "You run the podcast, you get all the attention. You don't need a signed ball."
You don't need a signed ball.
No.
I need. That's one thing I'm missing from mine. I got a few NAL balls here. One's a Preds ball. The other's the elusive West Virginia Rough Riders ball. That one, I say, I'm lucky to have that one. I don't have any of the white leather. I got only the tan ones. So I got to get a new one of the new shinier Deuce balls in my collection. Here's labeled the Deuce.
Here's the questions. I have connections where I can call and get some of not just Sharks, but any other football. Would our listeners be down for a giveaway for some NAL footballs later in the year?
Oh, I think
Let us know
would.
in the chat.
I think you're queuing them up for that. They definitely would. Honestly, if I'm talking ones that'd be cool, like I said, I don't mind any of them. Be great.
Yeah.
But 2 of them in my mind, I would love to have a Preds ball with the newer Preds logo, the one they're leaning into that I prefer, which is the yellow-eyed one compared to the old school Preds logo that's on the older version I've got. But the other one is I want a West Texas ball because I think that logo would pop really well on that for my collection.
Oh,
so
West Texas is only down the street from you, right? That's close to
only down the street. You act like yeah, I moved out west, guys. San Antonio is still like 12 hours to go drive to that. I think I actually passed through Amarillo, but even then it would be a few hours south to Odessa to do that one.
$5 in gas. And you'll be fine. $5 of gas will get you what? Not even out of your county, I guarantee it.
I see Adam Dunlap definitely wants to take up that opportunity here, as he says on YouTube. I'd love a collection for my son. So, and hey, that's one thing that's cool with the arena. Like they do these custom footballs like this.
Yeah.
And again, if you go to games, I always scream no if someone throws the ball back or if it's a kid, because I'm like, you don't have to throw that back. The team buys those so that you can take it home. It's one of the mainstays of the game. You're allowed to have it. I always feel bad when a kid throws back because the ref's not going to throw it back. Like he'll keep it. He's like, oh great, they can have a football. But no, like you throw it back. I'm like, no, you don't. No one is telling you to do that. So yeah, we'll discuss. I think we'll do a giveaway. But right now we're gonna finish up our discussion on this second matchup in a row with one of our Gunslingers players that we are bringing on for this top of the hour. It is Hitstick Kearney, or Bikembe Kearney, joining us on the show. Welcome aboard. How you doing, good sir? Congrats on the win. You had quite the busy night yourself, according to the NAL stat sheet. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How y'all guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. I'm getting to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just got done working out with some of the guys.
Oh, there you go. Hey, grind don't stop. We already said that to Marvin when he came on the show, so keep on keeping on, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. I'm going to lead this off here and just, a lot of discussion, as I think some of your teammates saw. Obviously, Philip did on our previous show on, week over week performance. I got to ask, how was practices this week, knowing you have, you're playing an opponent 2 times in a row, and one that, let's just say, win, but maybe to some an awkward win. How you feel about that? Like, you got that extra, I'm assuming coaching staff, you guys have that extra drive to say, okay, maybe a little more personal to kind of finish fully, like 100%, like feel a little bit better at the end that way?
A little bit. It's still some stuff we could have cleaned up, but all in all, I feel like we came out with a better approach and a better finish. I mean, it's the arena league, so a lot of stuff be happening. People be scoring kind of fast, but I still feel like we controlled the game a little bit better than we did last week.
How's that adjustment from the outdoor game to arena? Is it you got to be quick on it? How are you adjusting to that?
I mean, I've had short stints in a few different locations in indoor. My first year out, I played with the Omaha Beef.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. So that was a little different than the NAL. And then last year I started here, and some stuff happened, so I ended up going to Tucson Sugar Skulls. I was playing in the IFL, and then to start off this year, I was playing overseas in Europe for the Pavoon Butchers. But
so you've been around.
Yeah. And then tasting my dream, man. Moving by faith, for real. But now I'm back here. While I was gone, though, me and Coach Shaw, we still was like locked in. Me and a lot of the teammates connected when I was out here. I was kind of like their little brother, so they still supported me even when I left and went to the IFL last year. And I still supported Coach Shaw even when I was away playing somewhere else. We still had like a little connection and stuff. So I used to check in with him, he check in with me. Some of the guys still used to check in with me. And then things happened, and now I'm back. So that's it.
Yeah, we're glad. I would say glad to have you back here. You know, like I said, you've been racking up the hits, racking up the stats is all, and been a great contributor in that secondary for the Gunslingers. Honestly, you mentioned anytime someone mentions European, American football going over, I got to ask the experience. I've had plenty of talks with different folks, but I still like on live streams and folks that maybe don't hear enough about it to kind of promote it. How was your time over there? I mean, just correct me wrong, the organization you played for was more kind of like a club, if I'm understanding, not like say an ELF team where they're more playing to be more serious and professional. Yeah. It's more you're brought in to solidify the club organization and those people in that community that come in to play for your squad.
Basically, that's basically how it was. It was more so that I didn't get a quite like good broad like I wouldn't say like explanation about it. It wasn't what I was expecting, and being that I had already done played at a higher level, it's like it was kind of like me taking the back step, So
okay.
So as far as like the league I was in, I forgot the name. I can't even tell you the exact name of the league. It starts with a V word. It's like a Finnish word, like a Finnish league. So like basically it's 3 Americans. There's only 3 Americans on each club. So like you're held like the Americans are held to like a professional standard, and of course because you're getting paid and stuff like that. But it's just like the leverage that they have and like the weight that you have on you as an American, and you well, you basically like put in like a leader aspect when you get over there because they want to learn the game from you. So I basically felt like I was like the D coordinator, the defensive back coach.
Right.
It's just a lot of stuff that I wasn't getting better as a player, but I was getting better in a different way as a player, but not as far as like football, And that's really my main goal is to elevate my game to go as far as I can. I'm only 26. I just turned 26 this year.
But over at Europe, you had to be like they do like coaches camps where you are the actual coach, right?
That's what I was going to get into. If you didn't get me there,
like every few days, I coached the junior teams. I coached. They got women tackle football out there. I was coaching them, coaching the juniors, coaching them, coaching the juniors. Then trying to like weed in some guys that like take it serious because don't get me wrong, there's like 4 or 5 guys probably on each club that's probably like the Finnish or European guys that take the sport serious, and then you got the other 40 players that like show up on game day or come to practice, fake an injury, play on game day. It was that
part-time gig, basically.
Sure, yeah.
I felt like I was disrespecting myself as far as like like how serious I take the game. If you
Mhm.
get what I'm saying. So
Well, the
I just
game's
started like
different from international to here. Because in the United States, it's like their football, soccer, like how we treat their football. They get offended about how we do it, but when we play our football and hear stories from you and other players, we talked about the camps and how their local players it's like a part time gig, while our guys are over there full time. And it's for
mm,
me, I'm like it's like, come on, like football
yeah,
is not a part-time job. That's a 24-hour
yeah.
a day, 12 months out of the year type of ordeal.
And even with you emphasizing that though, it's still just like the commitment. Like even though it's like they got regular lives going
Hmm.
on outside of football, it's just like practice times was reasonable times. We practice late at night. Mind you, say it'd be noon here, it'd be 7 p.m. there. We probably practice at like 7:30 to like 9:30.
Mm,
Guys still
okay.
wouldn't come. Then it was like, so I was kind of like just like still praying, like just like believing in God, you know. I was just like, man, something gonna give. Like I was putting too much pressure on myself, so it's kind of like stressing me out. So I'm trying to like get everybody on board. Like you have like a couple guys that's locked in, and then the other 30, but you can't like it's 11 people on the field outdoors. You can't win with like just 7 to 8 people locked
Hmm.
in. The other 30 people, this guy going out of town on family vacation. This guy doing this. This guy doing that. So it's just
Mm,
like I just really just prayed, man, and just kept rolling with the punches. And then opportunity presented itself, and that's it.
yeah. I mean that
I
it's
mean, it's an experience though. Don't get me wrong. I
right.
don't. I could have like expressed myself social media wise, but I mean when people reach out to me individually, I give them the real tea in a professional way, because I feel like if you coming out of college, it's not if you don't have any other opportunities, it's not a bad thing to go do. But if you already go play at a high level, like I consider the NAL a high level, like the arena is a high level. All these guys, majority of these guys are still trying to go up a level, or even the vet guys are still playing at a high level.
Hmm.
So like if you come out of college right, and then you go and you come here for one of these leagues over in the United States, and then you try to go over there, it's like a backwards transition per se. If you go there first, then it may be a better experience for you.
Hmm.
So like I had like a couple of the owners like DM me on Facebook like what's some things that they could change as like what things they could do better to like make Americans more comfortable and happy and stuff like that. And I was just like, it's just more so. It's not more so them because they feed you, get housing, you get a vehicle. They give you everything that they think you're supposed to have. It's
Hmm.
just
Sure.
more so. It's the football side. It just won't there on the football side. And I just like, dang, like I could stay over here for 5 months and have a highlight tape against high school guys. Like I was like, it wasn't for me.
So,
It's a whole other world.
Yeah.
why the nickname Hit Stick?
Um, I like to hit people, man. I like to hit people. I be I'm from a rough area, and like football was like my way out, and that's why I use it as my way out. And like seeing my mom struggling and stuff, and like all that stuff, it just used to make me like it used to add fuel to my fire. Like every
Hmm.
week, come Friday, I used to stay in trouble, but if I was out of trouble, and come Friday, somebody was gonna feel the pain that I was going through. That's just how I use it in between the lines.
One thing I've noticed about you recently, especially 2 weeks ago when that crazy game that happened against West Texas, you were covering, I think, Childress. And Kid threw a pass. I think it was Wilson that was wide open, and you broke. You hadn't you were your back was facing the quarterback. You turned your head 1 second, and you cut across the field, and I think you picked it off. I saw that explosion of speed from you. I'm like,
Yeah.
this kid has it. How is the speed of the arena game in your position? Because DBs play a completely different type of arena style compared to wide receivers. But from that play I saw 2 weeks ago, I'm like, this kid has it. And Is it just you just studying film, or is it something Coach Shaw does to you that makes you feel comfortable in that defense, or is that just natural talent from you just exploding on the scene a couple weeks ago?
I mean, I did like when I left from the indoor, I was training for like 9 months in Marietta, Georgia, with Lily at DSA training. A lot of NFL guys train there,
Hmm.
but it's more so like I just got like a big passion for the game. So like I'm always all ears. Like I came here what like on a Sunday night. We was off. We had film Monday. We was rolling Tuesday. Met some of the guys. I learned pretty quickly. I mean, Coach Saul is a great coach. He broke it down real simple for me. He put me in a situation so to not put as much pressure on me playbook wise, so I could still make plays and be able to fly around fast. So I mean, I knew the stake that was at hand. Like it was pressure on me. You feel me? I'm here. The team already 7-1. When I get here, I got to be ready to roll. So my first day of practice, I was going in 1-on-ones. I went against probably every receiver twice, 3 times maybe, and I probably went 8 out of 10 or 12 out of 14 or something. I'm not sure, but I just had to. I always play with a chip on my shoulder. Like it's just me.
How is it going up against Kyle Lee and Philip Barnett and
Oh,
Chisholm and the
they
list goes
some
on?
studs. They some studs, man. It's competitive every day. We compete all day long. We compete on Madden, weight room,
Everything's done on
Um,
Madden now.
oh,
everything.
Madden
Yeah,
too, huh? Okay.
yeah. Everything is very competitive. I mean, they all vet guys. Like they could come. Like I could lose a rep against Phil, and he'll come back and tell me like, right here, you inside the 20. You got to slow your pedal down. You getting out too fast. Stay inside. Use your wall. Like he just be dropping gems on me. I got Kyle Chandler. I got Hobbs. Like all those vet guys, and then like Coach Shaw, he's a real good coach. He know the game very well. So like my first game, I'm at backside or front side. He's right there. He's like so he's coaching me up mid play. I just got to be able to lock in and learn from there. But yeah, it's a whole lot of vets on this team, man. It's a good team, man. I'm learning on the fly. I
Mhm.
enjoy soaking it up every day. I like being around these guys. I like being around the coaching staff. It's
For
like a
for
big
you, and
family.
for you, I got to ask because I know, like I said, your European experience. I know it's you want to get back, get back and swing things in America, get back to that a little bit better level per se to kind of elevate your play. But I mean, you talk about one item you get in that is you are kind of coaching guys up, and you are kind of getting put in a situation where you're now getting a little bit extra of that leadership role. Do you feel like you were able to take some of those skills and kind of maybe better translate what maybe Coach Shaw's trying to relay to you or what your staff's relaying to you that makes you possibly a better player so you can kind of get those coaching elements, know what they're trying to get the most out of you?
Uh, I- I'm trying to understand that question. That was a lot, but the first part. So you basically saying how did my European experience translate to learning here?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I'm thinking, if you're coaching guys, you're getting kind of that lens of a coach a little bit,
Yeah,
or at least you're
yeah,
training them. You're training some folks. So now you get, in my opinion, you're getting a bit of what the coaches are trying to do, where it's like, I'm trying to get the best out of you, you know?
hmm
So, like, now you get to understand what it takes to kind of push people to get that 100%. Does that
yes
help you
sir.
then try and get what they want out of you more so now, seeing
Yeah,
that side of the coin?
yeah, it definitely do. One of my things, one of my things I always try to work on was being coachable. So like, I mean, like when I was young, when I first came out, you know, how sometimes like you feel like as a player a lot of guys that play at a high level, they feel like they know it all, and I try to always steer myself away from that. I always try to like
Mhm.
stay open ears and stay humble. Even though I know as a player, I'm gonna make some plays, like, but I'm still gonna do whatever I can to do to get better. And it definitely translates in a way because it helped me. It helped me like when he comes at me a certain way, I know it's for me to lock in and get better. It's not nothing personal. It's all business in football. In between those lines, cussing, yelling, screaming.
Yeah, sure.
It just add more fuel to the fire. Just get somebody hit on that wall, stuff like that.
One
That's just
might
how it
say
goes.
he's a little vocal, just to, just to throw it out there.
He mean business.
He
That's how
does.
you want to be coached. I went from going. I was in when I was over there. I was in Indy with my helmet off, running Indy, not getting no work, having to do my work outside of practice. But now I'm here. I get to have my helmet on, getting led by a veteran DB group and a good coach.
So,
Yeah.
what led you back to San Antonio? Was it Coach Shaw?
Uh, yeah, for sure. Cause I honestly, I wasn't a fan of the. I'm really just a defensive back. I'm not a receiver. So I wasn't really a fan of like the Iron Man rules last year. But I always told myself if I ever play back in NAL, I'll play for Coach Shaw.
Hmm,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Coach Shaw has a reputation around the league of like his guys are his guys. Like everything I've talked from Marvell to Kali to you and to who who we had a couple weeks ago. We interview so many people, I lose people tracks. They say the same thing about Coach Shaw. You want a coach that has your back, that's going to give you, is going to get at you when you need to get at, and who will like push you to the right direction. He's the coach to play for. So that, and
Sure.
you can see that in the team in San Antonio. San Antonio's team is an image of Coach Shaw and how he projects himself to the team, because you guys as the football team have the same characteristics as him. And that's one thing I love about coaches. I like how their teams symbolize what they are. And
Hmm.
I could tell even when people are like, well, San Antonio's only won a couple of games by a couple of points, they're winning games, and they're winning games when they matter the most. And you can see that with Shaw because he doesn't break. He's not flustered. He's confident, and he makes the right decisions at the right time. And that's they're 8-1 for a reason. It's because of him. And we ask questions about Coach Shaw to the players, and it's always the same answer. The reason why they came to San Antonio is not because of the city, it's not because of the fans, it's not because of the organization. They came for Coach Shaw. And for you, the same way you say, I'm coming back for Coach Shaw. That just means for me that that team is going to ride and, oh, well, the term ride and die, but ride till the end of the season for the San Antonio Gunslingers because of Coach Shaw.
Yeah. For sure.
Zach?
Well,
For sure.
her Kearney here. I gotta before we have you move before we get you on your way down here and getting ready for your next matchup. Honestly, final thing is, again, you're talking, you're just getting back in with this team as you're talking here now, 8-1. You know, you're getting, like I said, you're getting the grasp of things, getting down with top tier players once again. I mean, you just got. Do you guys just feel like it's kind of, you know, we're taking it week by week, or do you does anyone even look behind in the rearview mirror right now at, the other seed that's clinched the playoffs? I mean, it's been good. Like, it's a great week, but I mean, it's got to have some sort of focus. It's final home stretch too, so that's why I ask.
Yeah. I feel like as a team, we just focus on like how we play and how we go about what's our approach every day.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really be looking towards the playoffs, looking towards the championship, none of that. Like our emphasizes would be to attack the day. If we got weights, we attacking the weights. If we got film, we attacking film, and we just take it one day at a time. That's really all we do. Like when it's somebody on the plate, then that's what we focusing on. We ain't looking past Saturday. We ain't even looking at Friday yet. We're looking for tomorrow. You feel what I'm saying? So that's really just how I approach these. We just go to practice and whatever the task at hand, that's what we go and dominate. We focus on the little things, clean up everything, take it one day at a time. Before then, it be game day. We just go out there. It don't really be much to be said in the locker room because we already know what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Carpe diem,
Hmm.
baby.
Hmm.
Sure.
Carpe diem.
Well, one final question for you. Just this is a simple question. Since you've been in San Antonio and you've been in Europe, which better, Europe or San Antonio lifestyle?
Lifestyle.
Like the
Um,
scenes, like food, entertainment.
food. I would definitely say San Antonio.
You're not the only one that said that so far. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking forward to.
It's some good food out here, man. I'm talking about wings, seafood, pasta, burgers, everything.
That,
Can't relate. I remember that. I remember that from my one trip when I was younger. So
The
definitely feel the sympathies.
experience was cool though. I was learning a new language.
Well,
Mora Aya means what's up, man, in Finnish. How
oh,
you doing? Yeah.
I learned something
Mora
new
Aya.
today.
Moi means hello. Kito, thank you, stuff like that. Like the basics.
Gonna have to shoot you
It's a
some.
difficult
We have to
language
shoot you a
though.
DM here and get a bit of a language list down. I don't mind. I don't mind saving up for a world travel there. I mean, you know, it looks nice.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate y'all having me up for today though.
nope. That again, thank you. We're a show for you guys, the players, and for all the coaches to come on. And I really appreciate that. I reached out to contact San Antonio. He said, "Gotta get Hit Stick on." He has a good story behind him of his journeys into football, and it's an honor for you to come on our show to present your story to the fans who are listening to our show tonight.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, Kearney, Hit Stick Kearney joining us, defensive back for the San Antonio Gunslingers, signing on off. You can catch him on future games coming up here to end the season and postseason as we're leading on down that trail. But he is another young, talented workhorse part of that defensive unit for the Gunslingers that has been imposing its will a lot of times this year. Finally, now we'll move on to the game of the week and touch into all the bits about this game. And again, I've been hinting at it this whole time. All of you want to know our take on one specific thing that a head coach did, and we will definitely discuss that as we dive in. As is the game of the week. Jacksonville Sharks, Monday Night Football, hosted the Carolina Cobras. They do come out on top, back and forth affair. 53 seconds on the clock, as we were discussing earlier. Sharks do pull away and get the final deciding score with one decisive drive from Sam Castronova and company, and they clinch a playoff spot in the 2023 NAL playoffs. So 2 teams down, 2 more to be decided out of 3 remaining, and all 3 are still in by all their factors. So no one is done, and some home playoff clinchers are going to be coming up later on down the line that we'll be looking for Jacksonville and San Antonio as we move further. But moving on into this contest, here's the thing. I think we were talking about going in, we need Malik Henry, what Malik Henry we were going to see show up, and could we see any sort of defensive stops or presence from the Cobras to allow some swings in possession to allow Carolina to either get an edge or maybe keep it where it's back and forth. One score gives a lead, the other score gives a lead, and vice versa. And we almost got that. We were honestly, like I said, 2-point game down the wire. Carolina had it in their court. Got to get one stop. You flip it back on the script. You might be able to take one in the Shark Tank. Sam Castronova and company do their thing, drive it right down their throats, and pretty much slow, kind of, I would say, sleep away this game, if anything. Just go up by 9, kind of hold things down, one last gasp of breath. Sharks walk away 7-2. Cobras 5-4, 2 straight tough losses now. Predators, even though they are, they're not competing for a said playoff spot, they are still not in it fully. So they got to get things done. But when you're talking about seeding now, look in the rearview mirror, you got Orlando saying, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" It's nice to see you a little closer to me on this. Quick takeaways for you, Jim, before we dive into, I think, the one incident that people keep talking about. Because to be honest, in terms of the overall game, pretty cool, pretty standard back and forth affair. I'll be honest with you. Cobras had their moments. It's just that couldn't get it to swing the way they wanted. And I think, if they just get that touchdown to end the second half, we maybe be talking about a different game where it really just comes down to who has the ball last. Except second half, they still get that possession, but then they kept playing catch up. It's just how it was. They got down 2 TDs, and eventually they just had to play catch up. They did get one possession back eventually, but it was almost too late. They needed to get 2 of them so they could kind of have their way and maybe get a little more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball if they were to get a said lead of some sort in that scenario.
One of the big mistakes in the game was Malik Henry's interception to Wade in the first quarter.
Yes.
That really flipped it, and Carolina didn't really get the advantage to get flipped back. Beautiful onside kick in the fourth quarter with T.C. Stevens to Naquan Murray. That was a big grab, and then Malik Henry, three couple plays later on the third and 15, turned out to be like a 50-yard bomb, perfect to Lance Evans. There were some highlight moments in this game. One thing that I've noticed in this game is Castronova still has a hot hand. Again, when you need a quarterback to make a play, the move in the pocket, just a little bit of scrambling ability. He made a couple of good clutch throws, especially the last touchdown to Solomon was a clutch arena type of throw. He threw it above both defenders, including with another receiver right there. Solomon was basically wide open in the end zone. That was a big play for a touchdown. And also Nick Blanchard, the new kicker for the Sharks, he had one block extra point earlier in the game. He had a crucial extra point at the end of the game. Excuse me. He had it blocked earlier in the game, and he answered big time in the second half to get the extra points that were crucial at the end. TC got a deuce, which was good. But overall, the game itself, Carolina and Jacksonville is a type of matchup when these two teams play each other. You don't know the outcome because how familiar they are. And I made a comment earlier last week that Carolina owns the season series in Jacksonville while Jacksonville owns it in Carolina. So Carolina usually wins the games in the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
But overall, shout out to the Shark fans, the 6,438 that showed up for the game itself, and for the people that make slights at the fans about that's not really 6,000 people. Go visit a Shark game. There was a good crowd there, great entertainment. Don't critique a fan base when your fan base can't equal it. And I'm not talking to an NAL franchise in that statement. So just FYI. But again, great crowd. That was a live atmosphere. Jacksonville Monday Night Football. I forgot. It's hard too, but a good thing
right.
about Monday Night Football
weekend games always draw more in arena. So it gets harder to pull the weekday when you start getting out of the weekend.
Yes. But overall, Star Wars 9 Jacksonville, they did similar things like with San Antonio with the lightsabers. Everything was themed. They had characters for the kids. Great atmosphere that way. My dad got tickets, got his tickets upgraded to suite seats. So he had a great time in the suite section.
Nice.
So that's where I got the football. It was actually a game. You could tell it was kicked by a kicker. Evidence. I think this was TC's extra point. But great atmosphere, great performance. The guys like Solomon had a great game. One guy that had an awesome game is Tamorian Terry. Don't cover that dude. He's burning DBs. Sam Castronova is on the money. When he needs to make a big play for the Sharks, he does it, and the Sharks win. On the other side of the ball, Malik Henry wasn't bad. Malik Henry this week, that was good. Malik Henry, and Caroline was in the game. Naquan Nooney Murray had a great couple of great plays. His agility, his mobility, that's why he was so dominant in Jacksonville last year. You saw that in this game. As Smith with the early touchdowns, and also special teams was so huge in this game. With it back with Solomon's kick return, I think Wade had a good kick return before he exited the game, and Adam Smith and Nooney Murray coming, really flipping the field. This game had a lot, and I could tell if these two teams play each other again, we're going to have the same similar type of style of game where it's back and forth until someone makes that mistake. A lot of good energy in the crowd. Uh, Sharks won. They are still a game behind the San Antonio Gunslingers. They clinch a playoff spot, so 2 seeds are down, 2 more to go. So Jacksonville again back in the postseason. They've been around for 15 seasons, and they've only missed the postseason twice in their history. So continuing the tradition of making the postseason in Jacksonville. And for the Sharks, for Shark faithful, a win is a win. And for Carolina faithful, tough loss. You have your gripes about a certain situation we'll get to. I understand those gripes because if it was flipped on my side, I'll feel the same pain as you. One thing that I want to mention about this game that no one's going to talk about in this game that I saw very relevant throughout the whole scenario is, can we figure out the substitution referees? Like we're delaying the games to throw substitution penalties when then it's getting reviewed and find out that there's no substitution penalties. Is that a trend I'm seeing in that game last week? Yeah,
well, I'm kind of shocked because it's been 2 weeks in a row we've had some sort of substitution error. On
then
the
they
sidelines.
review it and they find out there's not a substitute error. So
yeah, so I mean, I guess that's more, to me, it's more shocking given that, we really have had pretty much the entire year there has been little to no issues with substitutions.
It was just odd yesterday. Like
that was a strange one to me. Yeah,
they just reviewed it and I'm like, that's odd. But there are some highlights in this game that I really like, and one of the best highlights in this game, not even Sharks related, was Naquan's going up 50 feet in the air, it seemed like, to get that onside kick. And then gets nailed. It gets nailed coming down and still managed to has control of the ball and get the ball back for Cobras, because that was a big flip of possession right there. That was just a dude making a him play. And the TC perfect kick. When he kicked that onside kick, and I forgot who, I want to say it was Jacobs. Maybe, no, it wasn't. Maybe Gilbert that was over there at that time. Didn't realize it was onside kick. Caught the Sharks off guard. That's Coach Fuller doing Coach Fuller things. It was a great executed play, in my opinion. And they got a score right after. But also, one thing about this game that intrigued me the most is that we saw the 2 different style of game plans. We saw what Carolina does. They like the nickel and dime you and trying to force you into press coverage so they can throw deep. Jacksonville just like, we're going to throw deep. That's our go-to. You're going to have to take away our deep ball. And when Carolina adjusted to the deep ball, they couldn't contain Castronova's mobility and getting the quick screen routes from Solomon or screen routes to Jensen. A lot of mix-ups for the Sharks in this game. A lot of want to by both organizations. It came down to the end. Cobras, of course, fell in the game 61-55, if I remember, 61-52.
60, yeah, 61.
It was a 9-point game. Carolina lost, but for Carolina Cobra fans, a win next week against West Texas, you will clinch a postseason berth. You control your own destiny for the 3 seed with the win you're in. That you're not going to clinch the 3, you just clinch one of the 4 spots. So then we'll have literally a race for the 4 seed between West Texas and Orlando. So a win and you're in this weekend when you guys host the West Texas Warbirds.
Yeah, but pretty much just got to keep on trucking, but one more and things will be going the right direction. For Carolina, look, I think something with Malik you brought up, not a bad performance by Henry. I honestly got to give him extra kudos for, sans that pick to Markell. I took a lot of beating this game just because that pass rush from Jacksonville was pretty relentless. I honestly thought he did an excellent job, having to take that extra second that he usually most quarterbacks do not get just to find a lane. I mean, you saw a lot of times in this one where it'd be like 3rd and long, 4th and long scenarios, and he would just have to buy some magic and get a first down, 10-yard, 11-yard pass down the field, whether it was Naquan, Miles Kelly or company, Adam Smith, just finding routes. I was really impressed by that because, there's a lot of QBs in this league that I think if you got a front like that has guys bearing down on you like this that you could just crumple under pressure. So, I got to give Miles a bunch of credit for that. Definitely keeping guys in his game. That onside was huge. Again, great athletic play.
Yeah.
Night Quan Murray, Jesus. If anything, that's a gutsy call. James Fuller's got his guys playing tough. No doubt about it. Still very much an opposing force, no matter where you're gonna play him. Just going to be maybe not as much fighting potentially for a home field advantage. Still in the thick of it in terms of the standings, but this is one that does feel like it made things a little bit more spread out for them trying to maybe come back to Greensboro. But hey, we'll wait and see. We've seen crazier things happen in the arena landscape in years past, so you never know. You really never know. But you got to like at least the Cobras hanging into it till the very end as expected. Just need that one defensive drive, although let's touch on this now. There have been plenty of calls on our own community boards about a specific instance, end of second quarter. Let's just say Jason Gibson, maybe wrong place, wrong time. I don't know, but we have a fan interference call that leaves about 5 seconds on the clock. And what could have been a touchdown turns into an incompletion and a reset of downs. Cobras don't convert a TD. They do get the ball back next half, but if you're playing the game of possessions, this is where people have gotten a bit on this because of Jason Gibson looking, and very much on photos, looking like he knocked the ball out of the hands of the receiver at the same time. Does kind of flip the game's scenario a little bit. Your thoughts?
Do I have
This week I'm the one pinned on the wall.
I've watched that play multiple times, to a point where I came home last night and talked with the I like to say the council of members of the Discord page. They know who they are, and again, they were telling me what was happening. I was on the opposite side of the field. I didn't see it live. And after watching it multiple times, I watched it as a Shark fan, and my Shark reaction was, he knows the rule book. That's a good play. That's a good call. Like, whatever. That's good. Like, okay, let's redo the down. That's a Shark fan. Then I flipped aside and went to this Cobra player. I'm like, Cobra side. I'm like, we got gypped. That's BS. Like, what the heck? Because if that was my team that did that, then the scenario changes. And I'm going to know we're going to get comments like Jim's bias is going to side with the Sharks. I've just told you, like, if I was a Shark fan, which I am, if I'm a Shark fan, it's like, who cares? Like, you knew the road play. Let's go. Let's go to the next place. But if I was a Cobra fan, completely different scenario. Like, we can go back to different games throughout not just this year, but multiple seasons in the NAL where we've had similar instances like that. In 2017, the NAL championship game, there was a passing route, sideline passing route. No, 27 sideline passing route where a ref trying to dodge a play and intentionally blocked a pass that was pivotal in that game. Okay. As a Shark fan, I was pissed. Like, get out of the way, ref. You see it coming towards you. I understand that. But if as a Cobra fan to this, you're like, we just got gypped. As a Shark fan, I'm like, well, let's get the game going. But as a person that has read the rule, has talked to many people over the last couple of days because of this, or the last 2 days, the last 24 hours, I have confirmed that there is a fine of an undisclosed amount on Jason Gibson. I do,
and that discussion has been floating around online as of this last 24 hours.
I do not know the amount, but he has been fined by the league, and that fine will be paid. I have talked to a couple players and a couple people about it, trying to get the understanding of the rule and understanding. And there needs to be twerks in the rule change to really signify. But then again, there are people that say it should have been a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, or unsportsmanlike conduct. Yes, should have been, could have been, but it wasn't, because if that's going to be the play that does it, that should have been called multiple times in multiple games throughout the history of the National Arena League. It doesn't just happen because Jacksonville is in a close game and it's the Sharks. It's something that needs to be, announced. Like you need to get the rule book and like, okay, this if a coach or a player does this, they're on their bench. This is what happens. The rule needs to be changed for that purpose only. That's the unbiased thing I can say about that play. Was it a crucial play in the game? Hell yes, it was. That would have been a touchdown difference in the game, and that would have made the 9-point game a 3-point game. As a Shark fan, to me, like I understand the pain from Carolina fans. I understand the pain or the questioning that's coming from from Central Texas. I understand that. Yes, there are things in the game that need to be changed or need to be reevaluated, and certain things in the rule book that need to be changed because of those particular reasons. We saw things last year, like the Manas rule. How
Yes.
Manas initially kicked the ball out of play all the time because he didn't have a kicker. That ruined the game. That just didn't happen one time. That happened multiple times during the game. And what happened? That rule was changed in the offseason until now. If you kick it out of bounds, you get a flag.
It's funny. I've seen people say that's too tough. And I'm like, I don't know about that because as much as I know that, yes, a point is a severe
Yes.
penalty, we also, and this is even if you're even an indoor league,
Yeah.
you should incentivize returns. Returns make the game more fun and more strategic. So, and don't get me wrong, like this is where we talk about adjusting things because Manas, that was legal. That is a fully legal thing you can do. And he did it to an extent. It helped his team a ton while they were recouping and waiting for Marco Roscoe to come back. But they changed things.
That's changed things. Am I saying that Gibson's in the right? No. Did he try to defend himself? Probably. But if I was a coach, if I was Jason Gibson, I would have moved somewhere out. Like when that happened. Problem is no one really knows this, but Jacksonville's area where the door is doesn't close all the way. So if Evans would have caught that, he would have flung right into the bench area. So yes, that's something that people don't know. That door doesn't close out. If someone hits that door head on, they're flying into there. And by the way, it's on the other side too, or on Carolina's side. Some reason with these dang doors and these boards that they just don't cooperate. But people's like, oh, I can't wait for which Jim's comments is. Let's see how biased he is. I'm Carolina right here. Yeah, like I'm a little ticked. Like, come on, that's a big deal. But also go to other sports. The crucial interception in the NFC Championship game or pass interference that wasn't called, that was very blatant. And the NFL came back the next day. That should have been called. The Rams should have won the Super Bowl. That should have been the
you
same.
can talk the NBA when they do referee review sessions every week, and then you go, thanks for making me mad.
But there's also coaches that you saw in the NFL. That offensive line coach, I think for Cleveland or Cincinnati, the New York Jets, put his knee out and knocked down the player. The offensive lineman coach was gone for the rest of the season. Period. There are things that in a game that one thing I do have to this is me defending Gibson, and I know this may irritate people. He didn't reach out of the play. I've watched that video multiple times. And it's very hard for me from the angle that we've seen on YouTube of him reaching over the field. I see him like right here. Yeah, he may have done that picture that you see where he's like with his hand out. But I don't think that's over the wall. I don't have if I see a better angle than that, then my opinion would change. But I know one thing that was a crucial play. And it was by the rule book. The refs went by the rule book. You can't do anything to elaborate on such rule because it's not in the rule book. Now, I guarantee you that rule will be changed this offseason because the Manas rule was changed in the offseason. So I know something's going to happen. And I know Carolina's ticked. And honestly, Carolina, for me as a spectator Sharks fan, I knew when I didn't see it, but when I saw all this stuff happen and when I got home and started doing recap, and I was like, yeah, that should have been called. The
Yeah, I mean,
game's
well,
been
you
close.
got players getting a little. I would actually say it was kind of. There are a few players that were a little frustrated, but I think it was the end of the half, and they just need to get going again
Mhm.
and get the call.
But there are
The
also
mo-
some things I want to bring. Sorry to cut you off again.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
There's also some things I want to bring up because of this ordeal, like we saw in Albany earlier this year with the Trayvon Shorts ordeal about the jack out of the box or not. This is the first time where it's actually a coach involved, except for an actual player involved. So I understand the significance, but one of the things that I can critique a organization for, and what I can critique a league for, one thing I know is that certain things, certain mistakes that happen in a game usually get looked at, switched, reviewed, appealed, reviewed again, then they come to another conclusion or another standard. Was it a defined moment in the game? For that time, yes. Was it a significant moment to change the outcome of the game? Don't know, because you cannot predict what happened in the second half. And I guarantee you this, if Carolina would have won that game yesterday, this play by Gibson would not have been an issue. I guarantee it, because it's not Jacksonville. But because Jacksonville won and that play was significant more than that game, it's a bigger deal. Is it right or wrong? No. Should it be questioned? Yes. Should it be brought up in attention? Yes. Should the rule be changed to put more penalty on such event? Yes. But was it significant to the outcome of the game? Could be. Could very well be a significant outcome of the game. But we also got to remember, step back a couple steps and look at the overall performance or the actual ordeal and go, are we overblowing something or are we underreacting on something? This is the type of thing that we saw with the Manas rule, that we kind of underreacted, that turned out, honestly, it's ruining the game. It's slowing down the game, and you're costing the other team a chance to, move the ball down the field. Different things. As a fan of the Sharks, I literally can tell you right now, as a fan of the Sharks, that should have been a 15-yard penalty, half distance to the goal, repeated down with 10 seconds left on the clock. That's me as a Shark fan. After I saw the replay, I didn't see it live. After the replay, I think that's what should have been the call. Now, as a Cobra fan, I think that should have been the play. Now, there's people I've seen on Facebook and YouTube like, he needs to be kicked out of the league. He needs to be banned from the league. Like that's overreacting, extremely overreacting, because you have more fueled on that because he is an opponent's coach and not your organization. I understand that. I guarantee you, if I was in your shoes, I'll be the same person. Just saying this. Overall, look at the performance, what happened, evaluate it, review it, appeal it, review it again, and come to a conclusion of what we can betterment the game from here on out. Like, if a coach does this, this is what happens. If a player does this, this is what happens in the bench area. But as the rule states in the rule book, it was by the rules, technically, because there's nothing in the rule book that talks about this. If someone can find that, please send it to me. But I've looked at it. I've talked to a couple people about this, and that's my opinion. Do I think Carolina was shafted? Yes. I just said this should be first and goal on the 1 yard line with 10 seconds left on the clock. That's me, biased Jacksonville Shark fan, saying that it should be first and goal, first goal, Carolina on the 1 yard line with 10 seconds left. That means Carolina would have ran the ball probably the next play, got a touchdown, or would have got stopped, and then would have been the end of the half because they didn't have timeouts. So we don't know, but yes, it should have been, in my opinion, the ball should have been placed on the 1 yard line and reset it downs, and it should have been like a 15-yard penalty. It should have been a not a replay down, have the ball. What were the ball at? They were on like the 11-yard line or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit deeper of a pass, but
Yeah.
the thing was, it was right. It was placed perfectly, and you do wonder if you don't have Gibson reach basically directly at the ball. Because, I mean, the photo and video evidence does show him basically punching the ball out. And credit, it looks reactionary. There is some indication it's reactionary. My thing is, I'll finish it where you're going to have some discussion. We don't always run into this scenario. This happens. I hate that it did happen, because it does take away what could have been piece. And yes, we do have a whole half, so
Yeah.
things could change. But one could assume that given the flow of this contest, that if you're Carolina, you go, well, maybe I have the lead with 53 seconds left, and I can get aggressive and get a little more after Sam Castronova or get a little more risky than having to play back on my heels and play kind of this protective nature type of ball where I have to play 4 downs and keep to myself. So that's where it's at, I guess. But that's all I got. There's going to be some change. Like I said, they did last year. They made a change off something that they didn't think about with the Manas rule, and now with the Nets, and they said no more to that. And I think this one would be pretty simple. You just have to make, if you're going to a league meeting and you make a change for you, the owners, what is the extent of, okay, you have fan interference, it resets the down, nothing happens. But if it's a coach, which is part of the opposite team, it's personnel at that point. So then you're talking about competitiveness. What's the extent of a penalty for a bench player getting involved? Because I think that's where you'll see something where you're talking like 15 yards added on or something like that, or like some sort of penalty that says, hey guys, back off the wall, let these guys play. Because the wall is part of the end zone and is a heavy piece of receiving equipment and getting down scores. So, that is a vital piece to having some clearance to where you can operate, at least with your hands. The floor is its own separate nature, but at least with your hands, you should have, at least on a bench side, some sort of abundance of or expectation of getting a clearance to catch the ball with 2 hands, or at least over the wall with 2 hands. So we'll see what goes on with that. I do want to bring up one that I am trying to get back on here. I don't know if you can recall as much as I am with this, but Jordan Stubling here says, can we talk about the BS 2-point conversion call?
What about the BS 2-point conversion call?
Well, I'm trying to go back here for a second. That's why I keep hunting down.
Can you elaborate? Because I think there were, which one? Because there were 2-point conversions in the game. Was it the one in the second half?
Yeah, we'll give him a moment here. We'll give him a moment here to elaborate, but I think that's kind of what's going on here. Towards the end of the game, says James Palmer.
Is it the one where there was 3 penalties and 2 of them were on Caroline's defense, but they all cancel each other out?
Ref interference. There we go. That's it.
Ref interference. So I just went on a rant about Gibson. What did I say? What happened in the championship game in 2017? About the referee getting in the way of a Mason Espinoza touchdown pass that was clearly, or actually no, it would have been a pick 6. That would have been the pick 6 that I think Kenny Beal. Same. The referee seen the ball, didn't move, and literally got hit. I think. Well, I don't. It was ref. Was it really ref interference? Because I remember there was 2 penalties on Carolina on that play. There was unsportsmanlike conduct.
No, I see what he's talking about with James, because I'm revisiting the play right now. So it looks like it's away from the play. You'll see that.
Because I remember there was 2 flags on play, and at the end there was unsportsmanlike conduct, I think, on 2 players. I don't remember, but I think that's the same play where they had illegal motion on the offense. For that 2-point conversion, if I remember correctly. At this time, my phone was getting blown up by DMs from the Gibson situation, so I was too busy looking on my phone. And
now, to be fair, this is, if we're talking a pick, refs by nature of football, and some people have their opinion on this, they are technically part of the playing surface. So,
he's talking about the flag opposite. I know exactly what that flag's on. That's the number 77 of Carolina was literally tackling the defensive end by his helmet on that play.
Okay. Now I see what you're talking about.
And it was an incomplete pass. Therefore, Jacksonville declined the penalty, got the ball back. Then there was 2 unsportsmanlike conducts that were on both players at the end, and that's why the 2-point conversion went away because of that. And because of that, their deuce opportunity was voided, because it was a bank penalty for the Sharks.
Right. So you can you basically can just kill it. So I see what you're talking about.
And that's why they had to do an onside kick, and that's when Solomon got it. And then Jacksonville ran the ball a couple times, and been illegal motion. They're like that last 2 minutes of the game was wonky. Like it wasn't. It wasn't weird. It was just like false starts, penalties. It was just. It felt like no one wanted to win that game at the end of the game. It was like until Nova did that that pass at the end where he scrambled, stayed alive, and threw it over the two defenders. It it was the 2 point conversion. It may have if you watch it again, if I remember correctly, I do know there was a personal foul face mask on that play, or it wasn't called, it was holding or something, but it was between number 77 and I think number 9. I think it was Jones for Jacksonville, and that's the reason why it was offset. And then there was unsportsmanlike that happened, and then killed the penalty. No one, I think it was an incomplete pass. I don't even think the ball went into the Cobra's bench, so it was went right in there, so it was overthrow. If that's the 2 point conversion that they're
Yeah,
talking.
the bank tunnels you always think about, but I mean they can come back to haunt you if you are,
If I had my highlights, I would have seen it. Like, come on, YouTube, stop banning the NAL videos. I need my videos to make content for you people. I can't. It's hard to explain not looking at videos, but it's nonetheless. One thing I want to say about the referees in the NAL, night and day comparison from last year. The game flows better in all the games. This is not a critique at you guys. It's just a bunch of sports fans just bickering at each other over certain penalties. Certain things that happen in certain games will be evaluated and changed, and everything will switch. I guarantee you there will be a Gibson rule, like we had the Manas rule, which will be inserted. I do know there is an undisclosed fine that's on Jason Gibson. And I think I saw on one of the Shark pages something like "Go pay me," so that's kind of
somebody did make
someone
a
doing that. That's actually pretty funny. But yeah, it's for me great weekend of football. I loved how San Antonio responded, got a complete game. The fan presentation, the atmosphere in San Antonio, Star Wars night was excellent. The TIE Fighter, the X-wing on the field, the lit up tables in the suite areas that gave up the vibe of the Jedi Temple was awesome. Great presentation. Star Wars night was great. So I want to give, I think I went to George Stubing and James Palmer and Rackler. Great way to present the San Antonio Gunslingers Star Wars night. That was awesome. As a person that watched it, I can really feel the vibe of Star Wars night. So I love that. In Jacksonville, of course, a great presentation. Shark Tank was wild. 6,428 were in there, so that's a great attendance. So, besides the small little controversies and stuff, I love this sport like you do, Zach, and I appreciate everyone who's associated with this sport, from the owners to the players to the coaches. Again, if you have questions, if you have any want discuss things with me, and if you want to help me understand a little bit more about your organization, don't be afraid to reach out. Our DMs are open. We'll talk to you. Zach will talk to you, or I'll talk to you. We're here for you guys. And yes, I may tick off my own fan base. Jacksonville may tick off people, but it's all love. This is my opinion. All the stuff I've been hearing for the last couple of days, just trying to eat in one focus. And it's pretty odd that we had the game on Saturday, then we had no game on Sunday, and the game on Monday. So, again, hats off, San Antonio. That was a cool thing you guys did for Star Wars Night. Pretty awesome. I just dig the lightsabers. And one thing I love about Star Wars Night, I saw in Jacksonville and San Antonio, fans were interactive. Fans were having fun. You had kids fighting each other over lightsaber battles. It's awesome. What's not to love about this game, where we can bring theme nights? And I think military nights fast approaching San Antonio too. I think Jacksonville's military nights 2 weeks from now. I think Orlando has a 4th of July Patriot type of ordeal this weekend in Orlando. So if you're not going to the game to enjoy the football, go for the event. It's a family event. It's entertaining. You're going to be entertained by great athletes on the fields as well. Superhero. Actually, well, George.
Yeah, I was gonna
Right
say,
here.
bring this one up because if it's San Antonio, I'm almost expecting like turf decals. If they're talking, you got jersey ideas brewing too. So I'm always up for all jerseys at this level. But man, yeah, I'll look forward to the turf pieces. James Palmer
Oh,
confirming military night already
I
happened
think that
in
was the
San
last.
Antonio.
I think it was the last West
That
Texas
was
game.
well, that was Memorial. That was like Memorial Day week.
I
Like
think.
one of them.
No, it
That
was
was Memorial Day weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did like a make your noise, like they had
Because
cowbells one
that
night.
one they had decals of all the different services
That's right. Yeah. That's
on the
right. That's
hash
right. That's right.
marks.
That's right. I
Yeah,
totally forgot to say. It's the small things I pay attention to sometimes. Other times I don't. But overall, hey Jordan, I just want to say that thank you for listening to the show. Appreciate it. I know you were just over at Philip and Ralph doing his little step in for his podcast debut. I just want to say, Jordan, my respect for you guys. What you guys have done in San Antonio, it's a great ownership group. You guys are doing the right way, right thing. You guys got a winner, and I know sometimes my 4-4 comment got to you, but sometimes I have to admit I gotta say I got eat crow. You guys responded, and you guys did it this weekend. So yeah, I want to say thank you. Most appreciated, respect for what you guys do over in San Antonio. I'm glad to be a voice piece of the league, kind of. You could say.
mouthpiece. I think that's the more proper word.
Yeah, I could be the mouth of the South with I need to go buy one of those. I saw one of
The
those on
mouth of the
eBay.
South.
I had some old WWF. I know they're not even the WWF anymore. That's how long ago it was.
Random thing I learned WWE wise. Do you know they have an LWO now?
Yeah, it's a Latino World Order or something like that.
I didn't know that. I've known
think
NWO.
that's what that's what I think. I just know that I grew up cheering for Rey Mysterio, and now his son's apparently doing stuff now, and I'm like,
Yes,
God.
he is, and he apparently, according to the storyline, this is like the minimum I know of WWE right now. Is apparently he's kind of gone to the dark side and betrayed his dad in some
Oh
way.
my! Ending the theme night that we had in Star Wars, the dark side and the light side. But yeah, but then again, ladies and gentlemen, also announcement: Game of the Week, Week 13. We're heading down to Orlando for San Antonio and the Preds. We will have a Orlando player. If you're on the chat now, who do you want us to get on the show? Darius, Southwick, Nick, Cisse, Brandon? Let us know on the chat, comment, DM, anything. Orlando, Game of the Week, San Antonio, and the Preds. Amway. I think they play Saturday at 7. I think is the game time. Might be wrong.
Just reconfirming that while we are double checking, so don't want to leave the stream with the wrong time.
Eastern. 6
Yes.
Central.
7 o'clock Eastern time, Saturday. Yes.
Okay. Oh, all right.
It's got 2 games Saturday. It's actually doubling up. So you'll get the Cobras getting to go home finally. Long road trip. They get to settle down. West Texas jumps on the road to travel to Greensboro. And then as we were talking with Jordan here, his gunslingers heading on over to Orlando.
Yes.
Play the Preds.
So Cobras in their long road trip. West Texas has one more of their long road trip before they're home for their next home game when they host I think they host the Cobras is their next home game too in 2 weeks. So interesting. Week 12. Hopefully I described how I feel about the Gibson Cincinnati situation. A lot of mixed feelings. But
I think it's one of those you're gonna. Again, I mean, we don't see it often. Like I said, I think this is it happens in the moment, and change is going to be made as needed. Mm-hmm. But I imagine if Gibson had to say anything, he'd probably be like, "That was never intentional," and I reacted because the ball's right there, and maybe I didn't step out of the way in time. So that's how I viewed it. But yeah,
and also the overall, overall realm of things, we have seen key situations in the league happen that we fans notice and bicker about, and they get corrected either during the season or in the off season. We saw that a couple of times. And again, it's the game. and we love our social media. Someone says one thing on social media and everything burns or everything's all jolly. But for me and Zach, 2 hours long. Actually, one more thing. Forgot to ask. Forgot to say this. Patreon. We have our Patreon. NWalls Plus is active. And we have some interesting guests lined up for NWalls Pod Plus. Going to be dropping here next week. As we'll have the twins, but not so twins, from the Jacksonville Sharks, as David Gilbert and Justin Renfro will join us for a special Patreon interview. Then it will be released on YouTube later. Also, the link is in the description for our Patreon. Get there. Links in bio. I
Link is
will
in the bio, Adam. Yeah.
I will put it in there. My bad. I just realized I didn't do it.
Or it will be in the bio. Yeah.
It will be in the bio. Do that. Remember, it's not mandatory. It's not required. If you like to support the show, that's the best way to do it. We'll have them. We'll have other players. Remember, tell us who you want us on the show. There's a tier where you tell us who you want on the show. We'll go after that player or coach or owner or league representative to join the show for the next thing. But overall, 5 teams left in the season. 1 month left to the playoffs. 2 teams battling for home field. 3 teams battling for the final 2 spots. It's going to be very intriguing. Do we finally get the rematch that everyone's been wanting, that you can start hearing in the background of the San Antonio and Jack's rematch? Will we get that? Or will we have a year where the 4 seed gets in and does a Columbus and does a shocker in the first round and makes the championship game? Or is it, the 1 seed gets the 1 seed and just goes out and win everything, like what Albany has done the last 2 years up in the last 2 seasons for the NAL? A lot of those questions will be answered in the last 5 weeks. Yeah, 5 weeks left in the season.
Right. I do want to put up, and Jordan, thanks for putting this too, because it's been rough. And I mean, I think really, people do love the arena aspect again. And this is a great statement here. All things said, we're a community. You support each other. When one team wins, we all win. Like, look, like I said, it's been a rough few weeks,
Yes.
and it's been a season that I think a lot of us came in. We started with a lot of higher aspirations, and I think some things have been humbling and or didn't see it in the crystal ball. And there is brighter things on the horizon. I am saying it's just that let's finish on a high note is all it is. There is. We've been hinted at a lot of stuff that is in the right direction. It's just we just got to basically finish strong and get to that off season where we can sit down and have the owners sit down, collectively say, all right, let's look at these pieces. Let's build up and get to that point. Like Chris has always said, Commissioner Chris Siegfried, is stability, prominent and quality ownerships that we can keep building upon and or reboot on. Again, I hope to see Fayetteville back in some way, if possible, if it is a thing, and kind of go up from here.
Same as up in the Capital Region. We lost a team, but we have a great fan base up there that supports our show. I've said it before that a lot of our downloads and podcast platforms, the number 1 city has been Albany in our downloads, followed by Jacksonville, then out west in San Antonio. So we know who the listeners of our show are. So even though that we share certain fandoms and we talk about certain things on our show, one thing I want to say to our listeners: for up-to-date information of the National Arena League from sources you trust, if they don't have a team logo like San Antonio or Jacksonville or Carolina or Orlando or West Texas, or the NAL logo or the Inside the Walls podcast logo, most likely their information and facts are not accurate. But if those logos have something with news, you know that they're factual and they are confirmed. Remember, trust the people with the real sources for NAL news, not these run-of-the-mill rumor mills that we see fly around on social media every single day. Then our DMs get blown up to see if they're real or not. You know how aggravating that is? But anyways, for more information, go to nationalarenaleague.com or go to insidethewalls.com or visit all the social media of all the league, all the teams, San Antonio, Orlando, Carolina, Jacksonville, West Texas, for updated information of your favorite team, of your league, of the National Arena League, of course, at NWalls Pod for all information. So if we're not saying anything about it, then most likely it's not factual. But you see me say something about it, or Zach say something on our podcast platform or our social media, you know something's going down. Just saying. But also, again, like Zach mentioned, yes, we've gone through a tough couple of weeks. We started with 7. Now we're down to 5. But I'm going to tell you, to the fans of our league, one thing about Arena Football League, or Arena Football Sports, excuse me, is that there's always a horizon. And you always have to look towards the horizon for a brighter future. No matter which way you look at it, there will be a brighter future. Stay with your team. Don't abandon your team. Buy tickets. Buy merch. Go promote the heck out of your team. Get people in that building of yours. If it's the Freeman, if it's Amway, if it's Eckerd Coliseum, if it's Greensboro, or it's 5-Star, grow the game. Because without the fans and without us, this game does not exist. Do your part like we do our part, because we love the game. And as me, I appreciate you guys. I really do. Not bad for a podcast that started up 2 years ago, covering this league. And as you can tell, my passion is Zach's passion. We do it for the players. We do it for the coaches. We do it for the teams. Now it's time for you, the fans, to do your part. Go get your tickets. Go jam these houses out, because in the next month, 6 weeks, we're going to have some great football. And when the playoffs hit, you're going to have some great teams. And possibly we may see some rematches in mid-August for the championship game. So get your tickets now. Bring a friend. Bring a couple of friends. Get a school bus. Just start packing people in the school bus. Don't tell them where you're going, and just pull up to a stadium. It's like, we're going here. Hey, you'd be surprised. Some of these teams may just give tickets away. Support the game. Support the league. Support the players. And support your favorite arena team.
I think that's about wrap it up.
Yeah,
Great 2+ hour live stream. Good show. Great guests today. Glad to have them on. We got plenty more ahead. Obviously, gonna have more coming up too, not only here but on Inside the Walls Plus as well. Again, we'll have that link in the description here coming
Also,
up.
I got a text message, by the way. I think we're doing it, by the way.
What?
Giveaway football.
Oh, good. Very good. Very good. Okay. So keep an eye out for that as well. We'll definitely be promoting that one in future episodes. So, hey, always good to get a free arena football. If you can't, especially if you're a guy like me that isn't nearby any of these teams, and you do support the league from far and beyond, which there are folks like that. There are West Coast NAL fans that I know of. That'd be pretty sweet. Get a little giveaway to grab, for someone that maybe wants to have something while they're watching to kind of have that special piece. So keep an eye out on that. Keep an eye out on social. If you want to support the channel through IWP Plus, Inside the Walls Plus, that link's in the description. Until next time, guys, as Jim always says at the end of our shows, remember one thing, everybody. Don't forget when you're on defense. Because, hey, look, the GOATs here, as Jonathan Bain says on the end of this show.
Oh, y'all
we will slightly, maybe for a few weeks, make fun of you for not remembering this crucial rule.
Don't be a jack out of the box.
Until next time, everyone, catch you for NAL game day later this week. Week 13 is going to be fun. 2 great matchups. We get to cover them. You guys get to chime in. See you then, everybody.
Welcome to the jungle. There's your hint for the hype video.
Hey.
What a night, feel like I'm 22. You know I'm 305, got it on my body. I got everybody in a job. Somebody hit the light camera, let me improvise. Can I get a hallelujah? More moolah, more peace for my medulla. The whole crew up, yeah. Louis Prada, Dundada, top flow, come take a ride up with the rider. I came up from the bottom. You have no idea. You can't sweat through my story. Write my name in his story. Oh, what a night, yeah. Sing it, almost had me down, came back to life. Hell yeah, right. Who's gonna stop me now? Oh, what a night, yeah. Sing it, I can't even lie. What a time to be alive. Drinks in the sky, that's the high.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Bernier.